Hello, Watch Voice Focus. It's been a stressful few days for Nottingham Forest fans, but at least yesterday brought a measure of closure as we found out the Reds have been deducted 4 points. Now the dust is settling and we'll take stock by answering questions submitted by listeners in the company of, first of all, Reds fan Emily Anderson. Morning, Emily. How are you doing?
Good morning. Very good. Raring to go. Been on the dog walk. Wide awake and happy. All good.
Excellent.
Are you okay?
Life is good. I've got an ethereal glow from my curtains not being closed properly, which I might address, but otherwise I'm okay. And I wasn't that late. Thanks to the grass, Greg Mitchell, telling people in the comments I was running late. My mic wasn't working right. Greg Mitchell, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, feel better now. It's all out there and we know what we've got. So battle on now and raring to go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to the questions obviously pretty quickly, and good morning to everyone who's with us. But just initially from each of you, what do you make of the 4-point deduction and how it makes you feel, Greg?
It was a relief because you hear the rumours, and the rumours kept growing all weekend that it was going to be 6. And the right people were telling us that. And I was thinking, oh, come on, surely not, because I thought 6 was probably a stretch too far. So it was a weird feeling when it was announced to before. Not happy with it, don't agree with it, but it is what it is. And we're 1 point behind Luton with 9 games to go. And, you know, we've got some very winnable games with everyone in the same direction. So, yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
A few quick good mornings. Tony Adele, Phil 80, Random P, James, Raf, Antonio Ferrara, great name. Derek, also a great name. Ian Baker, Martin McPherson, Greg Oram, Oliver Betts Richards, etc., etc. So I have to scroll down really far through the comments. But good to have almost 200 people with us at 2 minutes in, which is great. Emily, just your initial reaction before we get into the questions?
Much the same as Greg, really. I was terrified that it would be, a hefty points deduction. When I say hefty, I mean like 6 or possibly more. Just because I had that pessimistic attitude about it. So when I heard 4 yesterday, I was like, yeah, I can take that. Obviously, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have had any points deducted, but being 1 point behind Luton is manageable, isn't it? And I think that it's out of our hands in the sense that if Luton match what we do, we will probably go down. But I feel like it's in our hands in that we've got a better run in. Let's use it to galvanise this squad, the fan base. We know what it is now. We've been worrying about it for months. We've been umming and ahhing about what it may or may not be. So I think just crack on and just use it to push us through in these final few months of the season.
True. Thank you very much, Paul. Do us a favour. Do like and subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. Right, we had loads of questions and I've picked out a selection. Obviously, some of these are FFP related and we'll get through those first, but there's also some good football questions around Nuno'S future, certain players, and we'll do a bit of a points prediction as we go along. I'll read out all the games and get everyone to write out how many points we think we'll get and if that's actually going to be enough to keep us up, although I suspect Emily's already done that. Right. Thanks for everyone who submitted questions. As I said, first one from John Morris via Twitter. Is it a no-brainer to appeal within the first 7 days and then see what happens with Everton's case? The wider question that everyone's asked, though, Greg, is should we appeal? I mean, should we or not?
I don't know. From the rhetoric from the Premier League, they're not going to, they're going to fight if we appeal, aren't they? Because they're not happy with us only getting 4 points. Deep down, I think we kind of knew we were going to get something. How many can we really lose? So is it worth it? Is it better to fight what we've got now on the pitch and take it from there? I think so. I do. I think if we appeal it, it drags it out. The uncertainty could be damaging. Feels like this morning there's a real appetite on the fan base online to just get to that next game and get in the ground and support them. I think an appeal could be detrimental to where we're heading now. So for me, I think we accept it and we just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was to appeal before we knew what it was, but then you read that the Premier League wanted 8 points and we are not happy with 4, but realistically not sure how many more we'll get off. Maybe, I mean, every point counts, but there was a question that a lot of people asked, including Mikey, can an appeal result in an increased penalty? And Kieran Maguire, the football finance expert, said there is a small chance that could happen. Even as a small percentage, Emily, does that put you off, or do you chase down and try to get points back?
Yeah, it's 100%. We're not going to get any more points. I suggest we take the points deduction move on. And like Greg said, there's a real sense of togetherness this morning. The Forest official Twitter feed has just put a lovely picture of the team in the City ground in a huddle with the caption "Together" and a big red love heart. And I think we need to all embrace that. Let's take the points deduction and move on, because it would just be so Forest of us, wouldn't it, to get the points deduction increased. So let's not take that risk, even though Kieran Maguire said it is a very small risk.
Yeah, and I think that Nick DeMarco chap seems like he's done a pretty good job. The Premier League wanted us to get 8 points. We've ended up with 4. I mean, I count that as a result, really. There's lots of questions around, well, should we be feeling sorry for ourselves and stuff like that? I mean, one of those from there's some polarizing views on it, but one from Steve Greg says, what have we got to complain about? We knew the rules, we broke them. It's a simple question of maths and dates, and we screwed it up. Our admin's been poor time and time again. And then the flip side of the Forest statement of what they said. But just on that question, Greg, have we got a right to complain or not?
It's a real tough one, because it's not as easy as we knew the rules. What have we got to complain about? Because I do genuinely believe, although not every signing last year worked, obviously, we did waste some money. Without building that squad to the amount we had to build it, we wouldn't have stayed up. So it's a real, we're going to, push these rules as far as we can, go over. But would we have stayed up without spending the money we did? It was so close at the end of the season. If we stay up this year, I think we'll look back and go, it was kind of the right thing to do, as crazy as it is. We've got to improve on the recruitment. We can't be spending money on players that don't deliver, but that's just football. That happens in every single squad that's built. So, yeah, I do think we've got a right to moan, just because the whole system's not very fair, is it? And it's not going to get any better even with the changes. But yeah, I can see the point also that we knew the rules and we broke them and we got a points deduction. So it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Sam also asked, to what extent do you feel the club have got to accept their own culpability for financial mismanagement? I think there's 2 debates going on, and there always has been, from the start. There's the, are the rules correct debate, which as this has gone on more and more, I've kind of opened my eyes. I think a lot of fans have had their eyes opened that no, the rules are a mess, and it does feel like more of a protection racket for the bigger clubs, and it's only going to get worse. But then there's also our culpability in it. I was looking at the signings that we made. You can pick out a few, obviously. Lewis O'Brien shipped out on loan 6 months after signing for 10 million. Josh Bowler, Hwang Hee-jo. You look at the John Joe Shelby signing now, and it doesn't fall in the same accounting bracket, but we've had to pay him up, which is going to have a big impact on our account. So we've made a lot of mistakes, but we're in a position where, as Forrest said, how do you stay up without going for it? You look at Burnley and Sheffield United, and there's that aspect to their statement, Greg, that I know a lot of fans agree with, and I agree with, and I think you do as well.
I thought the statement was excellent. I obviously don't, you can't celebrate the club for getting us in this position. Obviously, there were mistakes made, and I think we've got to invest behind the scenes even further to ensure that we're one of the strongest clubs to grow how we want to in the future. And I think it's key that we get, more people behind the scenes working towards that. But the statement was brilliant for me. It was rebellious. It didn't cross a line. It showed our anger. It showed the disappointment with the Premier League and made it clear that what they were pushing for, they wanted to damage us. They wanted to send us down. It was clear on that. And I've always liked that rebellious side to this club, and that statement showed it. So, fair play to whoever got behind and wrote that one.
There's people dropping lots of names in the comments of bad signings, but that's football. I think, we're going to have some bad signings. You could make a case for most of them. I know people saying Lingard, but at the time I thought Lingard was a reasonable gamble.
That's the thing.
Pay off.
We were all, I was. I mean, you only have to look back at my tweets. So excited about that signing. It's so easy for us to sit here after and say, "Oh, we did that's the other." But at the time, we were loving it. The 30 signings, it was exciting, wasn't it? But we learn, and we've already learned. We've tightened it already with the signings this season. Not every one of them's worked so far, but that's what's going to happen with us. With us growing as a Premier League side, we are going to get a little bit better at this as each season goes on.
True. John Ridgway asks in the comments, how do you become a member? There's a link for everyone in the description where you just click on that and you can sign up. Thanks very much, John. And also thank you, I should say quickly, let me find the name, Jonathan Hawkins, who has signed up as well. Thank you very much, Jonathan. I suppose, Emily, one thing it does show after all this is that coming out of this, we probably really have to nail our recruitment, because there isn't going to be any money to waste, is there?
No, and I think that's the big thing, isn't it? When we first came into the Premier League nearly 2 seasons ago, we did need to spend, you know, because we had all the loan players from the Championship and some players that we couldn't carry with us through into the Premier League. And I think even though we did need to sign almost a full squad of players, it felt like maybe we did sign a fair few too many. And we've been the butt of a lot of jokes in the media and from other fan bases. And as Greg said, we are starting to learn our lesson, because whether it is because they were scared about the profit and sustainability rules in the last transfer window was quiet, but I guess it was quiet for every club. But yeah, we just need to nail down some key signings, because I think that even though we're struggling in the Premier League at the moment, we have got a really strong squad. We just need to galvanise that squad together. I mean, I don't remember the last time when we had a set 11 playing. We all think we know who our best 11 is, but it often differs to what Nuno thinks. So it is just a few key players we need to add, maybe per window or per summer in the summer, and stick within the rules. And for me, the big thing we've got to do is not sulk about this and not feel sorry for ourselves, because I guarantee you every other fan base in the country will be laughing at us now and hoping that we're the ones that go down, and Luton are the team that stay up because they're everyone's second favourite team. So let's use that. Let's use that and show everyone we're that rebellious club, as Greg said. We're actually going to defy the odds and we're going to stay up. And I think if we can all get together as a fan base and unite, rather than fighting between ourselves about the rights and wrongs of which players and what we should and shouldn't be doing, that'll stand us in really good stead for the rest of the season.
Just say there's a comment, there's a piece by Paul Taylor in Athletics saying there's a paragraph saying, looking to the summer, the club expects to fall well within the allowable losses the financial year ending June. They've worked well within the guidelines this season. Obviously, Mangala's a factor in that, because there's a future fee agreed of 15 million, which I think is going to be a big factor. But then, assuming that's all right and pans out, I think we're going to have to be quite careful going forwards. Well, a few of the questions generally, Greg, were we going to have to sell Murillo or Gibbs-White? I suspect we might. Are you worried about that?
It's going to be that close then? I'm not worried if we stay up. I think if we don't stay up, then of course they'll probably both go. But no, I think to build a squad, you have to keep the core of your team, and they're the core of your team. So we'll have to figure out another way of ensuring we fall within the parameters next season.
I suppose I think we'll have to, Emily, because it's the way the rules are set. Leicester kept having to do it. I see Newcastle might have to sell Bruno Guimaraes. So, I think, is that just the way football's going to be for us now going forwards? We get some good and we have to sell them.
I think unless you're one of the big rich clubs in the elite, unfortunately, it's kind of every season we have to lose a prize asset, and whether that's Morgan Gibbs-White, Murillo, we may just have to suck it up. Actually, clearly we wouldn't want to lose either of those players, but if it means we stay within the rules and we don't face further sanctions down the line, but equally that we can stay in the Premier League, then unfortunately that's the way it goes. Brighton do it every year, don't they? They sell a prized asset for a decent amount of money, and then move on and find the next talent. And that's the way we're going to have to work, because we're not a Man City, we're not an Arsenal, we're not a Man United or a Liverpool with lots of money. So that's the reality of the Premier League at the moment, isn't it? And I guess that's what Forest was saying in their statement. If the rules continue the way they are, it's not sustainable for the so-called smaller clubs trying to stay in the Premier League. But it doesn't seem like it's changing anytime soon. So yeah, I'd be gutted to lose Murillo or Gibbs-White, but if it means we stay within the rules, then yeah, maybe we have to.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think it was a good statement, and they made a lot of good points about the direction of travel of the game. Certainly, thank you very much to Warren for the £2 donation. Very kind, Warren. And yeah, I agree. Yeah. At least it's not 4 points, not 6. Just play football. I know Forest was there's a thing in that article as well. Forest are frustrated that the points deduction put them in the relegation zone. Well, I think that's more on Forest than it is on the points deduction. We win more games. and that's what we've got to do now, certainly. Let's take our next question, still on the same sort of theme of the way things are going. Forest Era asks, is there a chance Marinakis sells up as he gets sick of it all? I mean, obviously he's becoming increasingly frustrated with VAR decisions, not being able to put his money where his mouth is as much as he wants to, and he's put a lot of money behind it already. Are you remotely worried that the owner might have enough and go back to Greece, Greg, or is that just fanciful?
No, he's a fighter, isn't he? We've seen his antics even on the pitch in Greece and after the Liverpool game. That guy's got passion. He's got bucket loads of it, and this will just, I'd imagine, make him want to fight more and prove the Premier League wrong and get us up that league. And I think, after him, there's his son as well, who seems a similar kind of character. So I don't think there's any appetite for them to be selling unless there's a lot of money to be made. And I'm sure if there's a lot of money to be made, then it'll benefit us because it'll be someone even more richer. But no, he's a fighter, isn't he? He's not going to just go, I don't like this, I'm taking my toys and going home like the last guy.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I would say, and if anyone does buy the football club, it's probably going to be because they're even richer. So yeah, I think you're right there. Quick word for our sponsors, as ever, Trent Navigation. As I've said earlier, Saturday, April the 13th, to get in your diaries, not far away, 5:30 p.m. Straight after full time at the City Ground between Forest and Wolves. You can watch away seasons, free entry, food in the barbecue court, outside bars. So that'll be a good evening, especially if we win. And we should have a live show announcement for something around that time as well for us, which I'm just confirming over the next couple of days. So keep your eyes out for that. Right. Next question. I'll answer this one. I get a lot of these questions have come up. It's from Jordan. I honestly believe that if we'd beat Luton, the deduction would have been 6 points. Do you think the Premier League make it up as they go along? I mean, I think there's an element of that they seem to break their own rules around. It was supposed to be announced on Friday and it's announced on Monday. But I just don't believe in this conspiracy thing that the Premier League wants us out because at the expense of who? No offence, but Luton are not a bigger draw for the Premier League. I just think it's a question that the rules are wrong and there's no vast conspiracy against Nottingham Forest, in my opinion. Go on, Greg, you want to come in?
I love a little conspiracy. The one about the weekend and Luton, not so much because it isn't the Premier League deciding, was it? It was the Independent Commission. The Premier League wanted 8 points, like we keep saying. So I do believe they want us out of the way. Maybe we are a little bit too much trouble for them. We don't just take this big corporate machine and, say, oh, yes, boss, we'll do ever what you want. We argue and fight. But no, it was the Commission's choice, wasn't it? So I don't think the results had any factor. And if anything, maybe it was us that pushed it back so we get the Luton game out of the way, because now we've got 2 weeks knowing exactly where we are and what we've got. And by the time Palace comes around, all we're thinking about is that game on the pitch. And we're used to where we are in the league. We're not talking about, oh, what if the points, this, that, the other. We know exactly where we are, and we know possibly a win gets us out the relegation zone already.
Do you know, I was thinking this morning as well, we're kind of lucky Everton got that 10-point deduction already because the Premier League threw the book at them. And I think if we were first up, they'd have done that to us and we'd have got 10 points and now we'd be appealing. And if we had got 10 points, the tone would be very different. So thank you, Everton, for that. Right. I haven't. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It just says, on and off the pitch is the name on Twitter who've asked this question. I think 12 points from the remaining games keeps us up comfortably. What are the others' opinions? So the homework, as we do along together, people can play along in the comments.
What's my pen?
Do it in your head. Or find a pen. I'll read out the remaining fixtures for us and see how many we're going to get. Yeah. And I might just do it for Luton as well. And we'll tally up the points. So we're on 21 points. Luton are on 22. I won't do it for Everton and Brentford, but check out their run-ins and you can do it yourself and see how many points you think they're going to get. So how many points are Forest going to get from the following games? Play along in the comments if you want as well. Crystal Palace at home, Fulham at home, Tottenham away, Wolves at home, Everton away, Man City at home, and then we know the last three. Sheffield United away, Chelsea at home, Burnley away. And if you just tot those up quickly, and then someone raise their hand when they've got a points figure. Oh, both. Well done. Okay. Emily, go first.
When I did this earlier, I'd got 12, but I've obviously been a bit more optimistic. I've gone for 13 points, I think we'll get, which will leave us on 33 points. Is that right?
Yeah,
Hang on.
that's right.
Is that right?
We're on 21.
So that'll leave us on 34, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 34,
Yeah.
which is okay, I think. Yeah.
Well, we'll do the Luton exercise next, but I think it might be. Greg, what have you got?
Oh, I like being the optimist of the group. I got 33 points, thinking we were doing all right there.
Greg.
I know.
Ooh.
I think if there's anything against Man City, maybe I'll change that.
I didn't. We got nothing out of Man City or Tottenham.
Okay, so I get 12 or 13 as well. So that would put us on 33 or 34, which is not the greatest total. That would have been 38 in total, I guess. So pretty comparable to last season. Okay, let's do it for Luton then, and then I'll dip into the comments. Luton have got, and they're on 22 points at the present, obviously. Tottenham away, Arsenal away, Bournemouth at home, Man City away. Then thankfully from their point of view it gets better, and sadly not from our point of view. Brentford at home, Wolves away, Everton at home, West Ham away, and then finally Fulham at home on the last day. So top those up and raise a hand. Okay, Greg?
32. Oh, this is going to be horrendous, isn't it? I can't deal with this.
Oh dear.
So I've got them picking up 11 points, which will take them on to 33, won't it? For a point behind us.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
Right.
I've got them picking up 33.
Goal difference could be massive, couldn't it?
I wasn't even being kind with them. I was trying to be negative, and they.
I was trying to be as honest as possible. They don't.
Yeah,
get
no,
any
I'm
for
trying
the
to be
first-
honest,
Yeah.
but I feel they get 3 wins out of that for me, at least.
Yeah, they've got winnable games. It's just the next 4 are wretched. We need them to lose a lot of those games. So that does suggest it's going to come down to
And
the
I
wire.
even fear, I didn't give them a win against Tottenham at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but I fear the way Tottenham play at the moment, Luton could do them as well. That's an extra 3.
Let's do Everton as well, quickly.
Yeah, let's do Everton.
Okay, last one. We won't do Brentford. Okay. Play along in the comments as well. I can see people dropping it in. Just Everton quickly. Bournemouth away.
What are they on? Sorry.
Well, they're on 25, but we don't know what they're going to end up on. We'll just see how many points we're going to.
Should we pretend they're on 25 now? Yeah. Let's keep them on 25. Sorry. Yeah. So.
Bournemouth away. Newcastle away. Burnley at home. Chelsea away. Forest at home. Brentford at home. Luton away. Sheffield United at home. And then last day, Arsenal away. See how many you get and raise a hand. Greg?
I got them on. Go on, Greg.
Oh, God. 37.
Okay. Emily?
Yeah, I'm the same. I got them as getting 12 points from those last remaining fixtures, and they'll be on 37.
So how many points they're going to get deducted? We don't know. That's a
6.
good question.
It's horrible. Do you know what? I've got such good Everton mates, and it's horrible. And I say this now, but you don't want it to be decided like that, do you? I really hope from that, sad to say it, but I hope Luton go down. Obviously.
Yeah.
We've heard it quite a bit over the last 24 hours, but isn't it a shame that potentially relegation is going to be decided in a boardroom rather than on the pitch?
And that's
it should all be decided on the pitch. Final day of the season, and there'll be lots of happy fans and lots of distraught fans, but unfortunately it might not be like that.
My mate said yesterday that these rules were developed to make sure a Portsmouth doesn't happen again, not to stop like the ambitions of a club like us. And it's so true, and the rules haven't worked. And for me, it's completely on them. It's on the Premier League, this entire mess.
The other thing we haven't mentioned, which I heard Kieran Maguire say on the radio last night, is these figures that they're based on now for how much you're allowed to lose haven't taken into account inflation. So if you took into account inflation that's obviously gone up massively, Forest would be well within the guidelines as Everton would have been, because players cost more now, everything costs more, yet the margin as to which we're allowed to lose money hasn't gone up. So that seriously needs looking at.
Yeah, because the rules are they 13 years old? I can't remember, but
If you look at inflation from how long ago those rules were set out to inflation now, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it just shows. Obviously, that it's never going to pan out exactly how we think it is, like when you do those things. But I think it does show it's going to be close. It's going to go down potentially to the last day, which could be absolutely awful. Is it Burnley last day or Sheffield United last day?
Burnley
so,
away.
Yeah. So Burnley, I mean, if Burnley win a few games and they've got something to play for, that could be even more wretched because they're not completely out of it madly, but not far.
Do you know what I'll say though on that? You know, Greg mentioned about the fact that we're in the relegation zone, but we can go into the Crystal Palace game, you know, full of fight. Do you not think we are a better team when we're in that sort of underdog position, trying to claw our way out of something, rather than being sat there waiting for teams to catch us up? I think that the timing's been perfect because it gives us a couple of weeks to get our heads together, fans and players, that is, to get ready for the Crystal Palace game. And we go in as underdogs and we like to be that team. I think that's half the problem with this year. There's so much expectation after we stayed up in our first season. Everyone's expecting us to suddenly be a mid-table Premier League team, but it's our second year back in the top flight after however many years away. So I actually think it's a good thing. Like, not a good thing that we've got a deduction, but I think we're better when we're the underdog.
Yeah, well, the evidence suggests we prefer being the underdog, because if you look at the teams we've beaten and the teams we haven't beaten, then it probably does say that. And I think certainly last season's team, I would have said that, and it looks like this season's team as well, because obviously we couldn't quite get the job done against Luton, but I would back us more. I would back us against bigger teams still at home, and we've got some decent home games that I would still hold hope for. If we do stay up, we've had a few questions on this line. Jordan Leeming and Spray Family Sooners both asked the same sort of thing, and a few other people. Does Nuno survive next season? Or does he stay if we're in the Championship, or do we trust him for another year in the Premier League? So kind of all the scenarios there. But would we want Nuno as manager next season as we sit here today, Greg?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I hate seeing managers leave, and you know, we've spent years and years doing this merry-go-round. As it stands at the minute, you know, he had a really good start, and then it seems recently the changes, the substitutions, the tactical changes haven't worked, have they? You know, the second half of games, the goals we're conceding at the end, there's got to be an improvement from him and his team. But if he manages to keep us up in the situation we're in, you can't really argue that he can't take us again next season and start the season with him next season. But he knows, his team knows, there's got to be an improvement, because we haven't won many games this season with him in charge at all. So to stay up, that's got to get better. I think if we go down, there will be a change. That's obviously expected.
Yeah, I mean, as we sit here now, I think a lot of people say no, but our views and opinions swing, you know, with every win. And if he wins a few games and we stay up comfortably, then I think it's a different conversation. But I think personally, there's a lot of frustration around the last couple of games, certainly. What about you, Emily?
I think that for me, I think we need to have some consistency after a tumultuous time with lots of different managers. I know Steve Cooper was obviously for a long time for Forest fans, but I feel like as a fan base, we need to stick with him because he is relatively new. And you look at all the top managers, they're given plenty of time to make the squad that they want to make and play the way they want to play. My only fear is if we do continue to drop points and continue to lose games or to lose winning positions, that Marinakis might pull the trigger before the end of the season, which would be disastrous probably, but I could understand why he'd do that. I think if we get relegated, I can't see him staying anyway. I can't see him wanting to be a Championship manager. We've just got to get behind him because Nuno is the man at the helm. And yes, he's made some mistakes with substitutions and some team selections that we don't necessarily agree with, but he's the gaffer. So we've just got to trust in his process and trust in him. And I think the next few games are going to be pivotal in terms of the mentality of the players, the mentality of the coach. And I think we're really going to see from the players and the coach who wants to fight for our Premier League status. And I really, really hope that that they do fight, and that we see that dogfight mentality that we had at the end of last season. I really, really hope that. But I think that as long as Nuno's our man, we've got to stick with him.
Hopefully so. Yeah, and I think the only very slim scenario is if we change manager before the end of the season, is if the owner perceives that the manager's decisions are costing us points. But even then, I think the ship sailed personally, and I think, like Emily says, you've got to back Nuno certainly. One thing around unification and staying together and all that kind of thing. A few people are asking Greg about Forza and the displays and if they can.
Has he just froze on us, Emily?
I think Matt's frozen.
What are you guys doing? Anything? Am I back now?
Yeah,
can you hear me now?
Your cleaner must have knocked the Wi-Fi plug out.
Yeah. Did you hear the question? Thank you. I can get the cleaner to ask it if you want. Did you hear the question?
I heard half of it. It was about Forza. I saw some of the questions in the comments.
Yeah. Anything coming up then? Anything you can tell us?
The whole stadium's got to be unified now, hasn't it? I think it's been flat the entire season. We've kind of been in this almost weird limbo, haven't we, at games? And I feel now that we've all got to do something. So, yeah, if it is everyone to a call to arms or what have you, just hopefully if people are available and we do manage to do something, we might need as much help as possible. So just watch the channels really, and we'll try and help as much as we can, because I think it's going to take every one of us for the run-in for the season.
Watch this space then. There you go. Right, 400 plus people watching. As I said before, do us a favour, if you're not already, hit like, that'd be great, and subscribe if you haven't. Right, there's a few more questions to go before we depart. Rafik, channel member, thank you very much, Rafik, is asking, why is Callum Hudson-Odoi not starting? A few people, Emily, speculating that having Toff in the team, not Tavares, is a factor because of the respective playing styles. Is there anything in that? I mean, can you see any reason why he's not starting over? I guess it'd be Origi, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's because he favours Origi for whatever reason. Maybe he sees something on the training pitch that we don't see. I'm baffled as to why Callum Hudson-Odoi doesn't start, because he offers us that extra something that we don't currently have in the team. And there's always a wonder goal in him potentially, isn't there? No, I don't really know why. I don't know how far Tavares is off actually with his injury, because I'd suggest that as soon as he's back fit, Nuno would probably slot him back into that left back position. We've talked about it a lot, but for me, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Anthony Elanga, Ty when fit, and Morgan Gibbs-White are the front four that are so attacking and that we know have got goals in them. And it's so frustrating to see Hudson-Odoi sat on the bench, all that talent wasted. So I'm as in the dark as you are.
What about you, Greg? I guess it's more of an Origi versus Hudson-Odoi question, if that's the choice.
Yeah, I mean, Origi's not done that badly, has he? Compared to how he started, he has improved. But I just love Hudson-Odoi. I love his pace. I love his attacking mentality. And we're going to have to score quite a few goals in this run-in, possibly without, Taiwo's injured, isn't he? So we don't know how long he's going to be out. So we're going to need other options. And Hudson-Odoi brings that. He gets around players, he gets balls in, and he's exactly what I need, I think. So hopefully he'll be have these 2 weeks to get ready and get going and start against Palace.
Any other players you'd like to see come into the team? I guess Ain is probably the one. Is there anyone else that we could bring back?
Well, yeah, I mean, Ainers, how long has he been out now? It's been a while, hasn't it? So
it's since AFCON, isn't it? So
if he comes back match fit, I think we are going to see that, haven't we? I mean, it was worrying seeing both strikers go down at the weekend and off, and then seeing what we had to do, what our options were to come on. They just weren't there, were they? So no, there's not that much of a change we need. We're close. It's not like we're playing absolutely dreadful. We're so close to these results. So maybe just an Aina or a Hudson-Odoi starting, or like you say, Tavares coming back. I'd completely forgot about him. Might be the difference.
What about you, Emily? And do you think Willy Bolly stays in? I don't see any reason to drop him, but can you see, do we need to settle that pairing down now?
Yeah, I think that's one of our problems. We've got an awful lot of decent centre-backs, but we haven't got a set two for any given match, and we seem to change it depending on who our opposition is. Whereas what we maybe should be doing is changing that mentality and having a certain set two. And I think Bolly and Murillo work together well because of his experience, Bolly's experience, that is, sorry, and Murillo's sheer youthful enthusiasm and skill set. I'd be more than happy to see Bolly start the next game. And he did as he needed to do against Luton, because I don't think he was at fault for the goal. And like Greg said, we're so close in every game that we play, and I know that doesn't make it any easier when we drop points or we come away with no points, but it's not like we're getting absolutely hammered every week. It's just those fine margins that we've talked about so much in the Premier League that seem to do us. So surely luck's got to go our way some point soon. But yeah, no, Bolly and Murillo is a great centre-back partnering for me.
I think, as Nomad says in the comments, weirdly, I actually do think we miss. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to get rid of someone in the comments. It's just a bit annoying now. Right, there we go. Yeah, I think we do miss Nuno Tavares. Weirdly, Toff's not done anything wrong, but Nuno actually is quite dynamic, and we just don't look a dynamic side with Origi in the team. That's just part of the reason why I think we should be playing Hudson-Odoi. So yeah, I'd probably like to see that happen. Right, next question. A few people are sort of asking this as well. Rimel on Twitter, that's what it says, R-I-M-I-L, if I'm reading that right. What's the point of Reyna and Ribeiro? And what's the point of their loans? A few other people asking what's the point of Reyna. This is a bugbear of yours, Greg.
Yeah, God knows. I'd love to see him play. I've seen him play plenty of times over in Germany, and excited when he came. I know I'm a broken record with him now, and we've had a couple of perfect opportunities to get him on the pitch. And you know, what must Dortmund and he be thinking? Like, I've come over here and he's not reached the what's needed to get on that pitch. So he's running out of time. I'm not sure about. I think he's more of maybe a potential signing for the summer. I know he got a new contract, but that one I'm not so worried about just because of his age. But Reyna, you know, in the prime of his career, playing Champions League football not so long ago, and then can't get in a now bottom three Premier League squad team. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I really hope we see him. I do. I think because he is a great player and he'll be good for us.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. I mean, he's been injured, but maybe Nuno thought he wasn't the right option for that game against Luton. But someone else asked, Emily, it was Greg Orm asking in the comments, what do we do if Wood's injured now as well? Do we play Reyna? I mean, my first initial was we just cry and panic a little bit, but we obviously can't do that. So what would we do if Wood's injured?
Yeah, as you said that question then, Matt, I was thinking panic. What else can we do? Yeah, I guess we'd maybe have to bring in some of those fringe players that aren't getting a start. I'd like to think that Wood's injury wasn't too serious from the weekend and he's got a bit of time to get back. But yeah, we'll have to make some adjustments if they're both injured. It was the Liverpool game, wasn't it, back at Anfield, when we suddenly had to put did Morgan Gibbs-White go up front in that game? I can't remember. But yeah, we're just going to have to make do with what we've got, because that's life, that's football. Ribeiro's a striker, so why not start him? And I feel really sorry for Reyna, actually, because like you say, he's come over here hoping to get some experience in the Premier League, and it's just not worked for him. But there'll be no malice or any reason behind it other than he just currently doesn't fit into Nuno's plans. It's really unfortunate, and we know that he's only there on a short-term loan, and it almost feels too late in the season to start integrating him now. But you never know. You never know. He might shine through and help us stay up for the rest of the season. I just, because of Woods doing so well in front of goal, I just hope that he can be fit for the Crystal Palace game. I know Ty's a long way off, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Origi, there seems to be a reticence to play Origi through the middle, but he is ostensibly a striker, I think. Yeah, the Reyna one's weird. Like, if Nuno doesn't seem fitting into his plans, then what's he doing here, I suppose, would be the question, because January, apart from Matt Sells, was a bit of a bust as it's looking now, but let's see how it pans out, certainly. Right, we do have a second sponsor, a new sponsor this episode. Very exciting for everyone. It is, well, I'll play the animation and then the video, and then I'll tell people on the other side for the audio version. But here we go, back in Yes, thank you very much to Home Move Estate Agents in Nottingham with Ben Sales, who is a Forest fan, obviously. I think that's how you qualify to advertise on here. So show any support you can for Ben. If you're looking to buy or sell a house at the moment, I'll drop a link in the description. Right, I think that covers most of the ground. I'll do any other business, but I might come back to any other questions. It was a very swish advert for me. I didn't do it. Ben even sent it in himself. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, if anyone's got any other questions, drop them in and we'll do it completely out of order and skirt back. But any other business or anything else you want to say, Greg Oram?
I'm not
Greg
answering.
Mitchell.
Thank you.
Greg Mitchell.
I like Greg Oram.
Sorry. Greg Oram. Oh my God.
How long have I been here? 3 years. No, just if any other podcasts want me now. I haven't got anything. Forest has just dominated everything, hasn't it? So it's just, I am so glad that it's over now. It's just been it's tiring, isn't it? Every single day, just guessing and counter guessing and talking about it. Now it's here. We know what we've got. Get behind them all and get ready for Palace because it's going to be a special one.
I think so. I found it very draining last night, the FFP stuff. Yeah, there's so much chat, so many questions that I just don't know the answer to around, when does this go into which account and all that stuff. We'll have to find out. Oh, good. Pete Blackburn's messaged me saying he played along with the points deduction and he's got us staying up ahead of Luton, who he only thinks is going to get 30 points. Gosh, that's very conservative. I hope you're right, Pete. Emily, anything from you before we go? If there's no more questions from the
No, I'm just, like Greg says, I'm glad it's all been sorted out in terms of the points deduction. We'll probably know, we'll know, won't we, within the next 7 days if Forest are going to appeal. But let's hope that once we're back playing football, we can concentrate on matters on the pitch and keeping Forest up and not worry about all the financial stuff, because that's way above my head anyway. So let's focus on getting behind Forest and staying in the Premier League for another season.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just scrolling through the chat. I'm not seeing anything new that I don't think we've touched.
I have got one question actually, because it's just been mentioned by James. Is Everton's points deduction definitely going to happen this season? Do they now? Is it now because they've finished with us now? This independent commission. Do they move on to Everton's?
It's not like forming an orderly queue.
But it felt like it was. It felt like it was for us. We were waiting for Everton's for us to go. So
I've heard that Everton's will be in the next week or so, and then a decision in the next few weeks. And originally, I thought they were hoping they could get the points deduction suspended until next season. But I think the Premier League and the Commission wants it all dealt with within this current season.
And that's why our statement made it clear about how thankful we were that it was done this season as the rules state. I liked that little dig.
I think it'll be done this season. One quick worry that I literally just thought of is the Premier League are desperate for teams not to appeal because it's a PR disaster. It looks awful if the results are sorted afterwards. So I worry now, thinking about it, that they'll give Everton something lenient enough that they won't appeal and dangle a carrot for them.
So you're doing that whole thing that we were saying we don't like, when if Forest would have won, they'd have given us 6 points. You're doing that whole conspiracy
I know, I am a bit, aren't I?
But that's how it gets you.
Will they say, we'll give you 4 points if you agree not to appeal?
Yeah.
I don't know.
4 points is still a blow for Everton if it comes that late in the season, isn't it? And with all the criticisms of the current situation around profit and sustainability, I think the Premier League will want to be as transparent as they possibly can be with it, because everyone's suddenly a financial expert and saying, well, if they've lost this amount of money, then surely they should be deducted this amount of points. I personally think let's not worry about Everton. If they end up getting a points deduction, that's a bonus. But if not, just focus on what we're doing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is as well, and just to continue my moany day, the Premier League are this unique business where we're not going to just leave and say, oh, this is rubbish. They can literally do what they want, can't they? And I think possibly like this European Super League and the stuff like that scared them enough that they've had to protect the top six, that they'll keep damaging teams that have got a bit of ambition. So there's a real bitter taste from how the Premier League have acted over the last couple of years. And with their new rules around the corner, it just doesn't seem to be getting any better.
I do still. I've said this before. I think we'll still end up with a Super League. I think, say the Man City eventually get these 115-point charges heard. The clubs like that are going to kick off and just go, we'll go somewhere else eventually in the next 20 years, which is half miserable and half not so miserable. The way I'm feeling about it now.
It'll be a stronger league without. You only have to look at how the German teams are now. The protests last month because there was talk of them changing the, bringing more money into the league, and the way the fans reacted was incredible. The fans have got such a strong say in that league, the 51% ownership, and it is one of the most enjoyable leagues in the world. So I've got to the point now where if Man City want to go off in somewhere else and have their own little league, let them. The league we're in will still be a great one, probably even better and more competitive.
What a thought to end on. Anything more uplifting, Emily, or not?
No, I'm spent.
I'm going for a dog walk with Steve Allen now, so that's going to be a nice uplifting hour and a half.
Oh dear, you're a glutton for punishment. No, he's a lovely guy. Don't worry.
Send him my love.
I will do.
Right, I think we'll leave it there. Great to have over 400 people with us throughout this. Some interesting questions. Thank you very much for sending them in. Be back tomorrow with an interview with someone. I won't say who, because it's 99.9% confirmed until it is, or it's recorded. I won't really say in case it collapses. And then I think that's about it for the week. There might be something on Saturday. I'm not quite sure. And then we'll be back on Monday. I'm taking a couple of days off. And I think everyone's earned a break over the last 24 hours or so. And we can all recharge and all go again, just like the players. Right. Emily Anderson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Mitchell, thank you very much. Greg Oram, thank you very much.
Oh, come on. I need a nickname. Greg Oram.
I've got a couple for you, Greg.
No, thank you.
No? Okay.
Oh, unless they're nice.
No.
Greg Oram's just put the song that's going to be sang loud and proud for the remainder of the season anyway, so it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. Bring it on.
Definitely. Greg Mitchell, thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. I hope your cleaning's gone well.
Well, I hope so too. Thank you very much. Right. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day, and we shall see you soon.